Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Unnamed Cybersecurity Podcast. I'm Bob. We got Chris, we got Matt, and we got Carl. We got a full house today, guys.
Yeah.
And Matt's door's open, so I guess we're not going to get any kids running in.
Nope, not today. The dog, on the other hand, will probably come destroy my office shortly.
Our ratings get better if your dog comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
You have other farm animals over there too?
No farm animals, just a beagle in the background here. Anyway, figure we'll talk. There was some news that we've been talking about in the green room a little bit. So a lot of times we might mention shadow IT. What are your people doing around taking on services, installing services, using things that you don't understand and know about in your business? Well, Carl's got a great story today about a warship that had a stinky Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, it was a stinky. When you think about one of the largest employers in the country, it's the armed forces, and the Navy being one of those divisions.
Mm-hmm.
What unfortunately happened, there was a what I've learned in the last week or two of looking at this study was that non-commissioned officers in military service they basically run the military, and they're the most trusted people there. They really know the inner workings of everything. And unfortunately, we had a commander, a senior chief officer, petty officer, Rizal Moreno. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing her name.
Stinky. We're just going to nickname.
Stinky is what she did. So okay. She decided. So seriously, when these people are deployed overseas, they can go months and months without contact.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have internet. They currently don't have internet. Just social media, any of that stuff while they're out at sea. It's supposed to be a zero. It's a controlled environment. You can imagine you're operating in the China seas, and you don't want to have errant signals. All that stuff is locked down. Well, apparently the ship that she was on, they came into port, and she decided that's kind of inconvenient for her. So she and the rest of her mess, which is 16 people, who were at the senior level, decided that they should remedy this issue. And so what they went to was Starlink, and they decided to get one of those Starlink antennas. And while it was in dry dock, they went ahead and mounted that there. And they started up. And by the way, she's not a technophobe. She's really quite. She's got some good pedigree. She comes from a sysadmin background. She's got a master's in cybersecurity, and it makes you really wonder what was going on in her head, as far as the risk was concerned. But she decided that the Wi-Fi wasn't going through the rest of the ship with the Starlink. It really wasn't doing what it was advertised, even though I think Bobby said she paid $2,800 just to get the equipment, the initial equipment. So what do you do when you don't get the Wi-Fi, out of a Starlink? You get extenders, baby. You need to light that up. So she lit the whole ship up with Wi-Fi, and and that was one of her problems. Was she decided she was going to be a little cute about it and named the Wi-Fi Stinky. Now, all of a sudden, people are looking at their phones going, "What's this stinky Wi-Fi?" The captain came to her directly, said, "Hey, do you know anything about this?" She goes, "I do not know." Swore up and down multiple times. And what she did was she was at that point she got clever and renamed the Wi-Fi to look like one of the printers on the ship that had their own Wi-Fi. So it was another device name. And then at that point, it kind of went away. Nobody was really asking about it up until they came back in for another dry dock fitting. And Bob, I think you have a picture of this here. You can look. This is where, if you look where the red arrow is, that's where the Starlink antenna was. Well, that big thing I think is the radar. The big bulb is the radar system. I'm not a military expert on hardware, but they came in to retrofit that. And while they were there, they looked down and they said, "What the heck is this?" And so she went back. So at that point they found the Starlink.
Yeah, it
Now,
was
the
actually, it was,
captain,
you know, I looked at that picture, little Carl. It was actually mounted to a pallet that was lashed to the deck. So it wasn't a permanent structure, but they did have to run some cables out there. And
you know, well, she used our tax dollars to mount this too. This all came out of naval credit cards and everything else. Really, it's a shame. I mean, this is a highly respected position to earn and to work your way up to, and to really make it onto the national stage known as this.
so okay, so she went and bought some services and installed them, but you know, what was the real potential impact of things like this? I know, you know, a lot of these things all have GPS tracking in it. Did she just
Yeah.
geotag the warship at sea?
Potentially, yes, because, well, here's one of the things. I've listened to a couple of different reports on this, and one of the people said if she had gone to her commander and said, "Hey, we want to put this on the ship," he probably would have said, "Well, we're doing this for morale. That's wonderful," because, you know, they understand the working conditions, the stress that these people are under, and
Sure.
they would have proceeded to say, "Okay, well, we're in safe situations. We'll turn it on for a period of time to let the crew enjoy that," because they understand what's going. Everybody's sympathetic to that. They locked it down to only the chief, like 15, 16 people were the only ones who had access to this. So when he confronted her the second time, she proceeded to go and say, "Oh, well, we did this for morale, you know, and we opened it up, and we only did it when we were in safe situations." Well, what he did at that point is he called up Starlink and said, "Hey, this is my serial number. I need a report now about all the places that had been turned on." It had been on for months while they were deployed in hostile situations. You know, in the China seas, they mess around. You know, boats come up. You've got pirates. You got places that are out there. I mean, if you think about it, you're like, well, it's a destroyer. But we've had large ships that have now been hit with like jet ski drones that have gone out and done significant damage, not to our ships, but to other ships that, you know, that are out there that technically, you know, for a couple $1,000s. This new drone type of tactics that are going out to do incredible damage to a lot of stuff out there. So they could have been, you know, it really could have invited some real unfortunate hardships. So there is a reason why you don't put an unsecured Starlink system into a secure, you know, into a high, you know, Navy ships out at sea. You're not supposed to know where they are. You know, that's kind of built into their safety and the way that they stay safe at sea. So, you know, and on top of that, she didn't even share with the rest of the crew, you know, and could have unfortunately been a real tragedy here.
Well,
She didn't want to use up her bandwidth.
Of course not. I mean, you got to get all of your what is it, your Netflix down there, and
What do you got, Chris?
I mean, you want to joke about it, but like, think about like which data she could have fed out of it. Right. So you get a situation like that. Maybe she's leaking location information because she has now a communication, you know, not to say that she did that, but like that's the danger is just like extreme. The danger
in the social media. Here I am on the ship. Look over the side, and you see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just leaking confidential information because you have access to an internet that you're not supposed to. That's not protected. Right. It kind of brings back, like, I mean, how many of you guys have just shown up to a company that suddenly had like DCP problems because somebody plugged a Wi-Fi router in because they wanted Wi-Fi someplace?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, you laugh, right? But it's like, it happens more often than what people think. So
here's somebody who really knew. Here's somebody who really knew not to do that. I mean, educated, cybersecurity background. And you look at sometimes what happens in organizations where you can almost forgive them for not understanding the risk.
So, okay, for example, so the scenario that Chris just described of somebody of an extra DHCP server showing up because they plugged in a Wi-Fi router, that's not in a textbook in a classroom. That's experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because you start having communication problems. It can take down machinery. It can take down an entire plant just because somebody decides that they want Wi-Fi in a place that they should have just asked.
So, Bob, could you be hinting that education isn't experience, or maybe even perhaps that a master's in cybersecurity sounds good, but it might not come with judgment? Because I'm just kind of dumbfounded at the decision process to get to where she did, regardless of background or anything.
Some people are really good.
I would say that there's nothing that experience outweighs.
Bingo.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what kind of education you have when you think about it, because if you can't actually use it in real world situations, so we can, I mean, plenty of people are really smart and then they get behind the wheel of a car drunk, even though they know they shouldn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of people do really dumb shit when they know they shouldn't. And these can be incredibly intelligent people. But like in every situation, you're not necessarily incredibly intelligent. Sometimes you really do dumb stuff. And,
I never do dumb stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay, Mr. Concussion. Anyway, sorry.
Because I concussed myself.
Concussion, that's just the way Matt self-medicates.
Give myself literal brain damage doesn't make me inside. I'm just more special than usual right now.
Yeah. So I don't know, like if you equate this to business, let's take this back to business, right? What she did was terrible, but like, and I give you a DCP or a Wi-Fi router situation that can take down a network, but like there's pieces of software out there that people are using that you don't know about. So if you're not locking down your stuff and you're not having like standard configurations and people are just loading whatever software they want, it's the same thing. And sometimes they're just trying to do their job. And if you don't give them what they need to do their job, guess what? People will find a way. A lot of people will find a way. And sometimes that exposes your business to a higher risk profile than you really want it to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. I ran across somebody a couple of weeks ago that their office PCs didn't have what they needed. So they brought their own PCs home, brought their own home PC laptops in, put them on the Wi-Fi, and started doing stuff. So it's like it's not where we need to go.
We can even go into cloud services. I mean, one of my clients just recently, we discovered that some of the employees were using their own ChatGPT licenses inside of their office. So we said, let's just get them from the company their own their own licenses. That way, God forbid, when they leave, if they do, their data doesn't travel with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those are like the little things that you start to look at. It's not just the hardware; it's also the software and where all the data is going. And you may have all the intentions of retaining that inside of your walls, whether that's virtual or on premises. But if you don't have somebody who knows what to look for, they could read all the books in the world and forget about it.
Well, I mean, that's the essence of shadow IT. People will find a way to do things, and if you don't know about it, it's done in the shadows, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
So, Chris, how do we find it?
First of all, you have shock collars in all of your employees, so if they get caught, I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
I like
it's
it.
really on the wrist now. They don't. Put
what? Oh, that's not fun.
They don't put it around the neck. It's on the wrist, Chris.
I saw a guy this weekend try to use a shock collar, put her on neck to see what it would be like before he put it on his dog. So, yeah, there are things that still happen.
I've seen that at the Thanksgiving dinner.
I think the thing that you want to think about is, okay, take it back to basics. What do you use in your business every day? What software do you use? Do you have that defined? Do you know every piece of software that's used in your company? The answer most of the time is no.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have an approval process. Nobody should be able to install a piece of software without it being approved. You have approved software in the company. You have approved websites. You have to start monitoring this stuff. There's tools for like email where you can kind of look at like what people have signed up for. You don't want people to just automatically go sign up for things with their work email and start loading data in there, like what Carl said about ChatGPT, but like other things as well. You need to be monitoring your email, what they're signing up for, and then make sure that the PCs are locked down to a way that they can't just install anything. And then if you're the owner, try to be an example and not the exception every single time. And because that's what we see a lot is owners say, well, maybe they can't install something, but I can because I own the company. Well, that's true, but you're also the biggest risk to the company.
Absolutely.
So you got to. Yeah, if you want to load something that's questionable and you're the owner, does it really deserve to be on your business PC? Or is it something that if it's a personal thing, why don't you just have a personal device that's with you that you can use?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I mean, home PCs are cheap. It's nice to have a separate device that's whatever, you know. But I think the biggest point anyone made, and Chris, I think it was you that said, give your employees what they need, because otherwise they'll find a way. And like that hit home, because I mean, we've all seen it, but I think a lot of business owners don't realize that, oh, if you don't have some kind of secure file share platform, they're going to find a way to send it, whether that's a personal Dropbox account. And by the way, when they leave the company, that data is going to stay with them, not you. Just all kinds of things. They really need the tools to do the job. Otherwise, they're going to find a way that's probably going to bite them or the company in the butt later on, because they just don't know better.
Or they might just be malicious. They're just trying to steal your stuff.
No,
Well, they're also working from the side of like, just they're trying to get their job done, and they're looking for, like we all do. It's the way we're built. We're always looking for a shortcut or a better way, you know, to make these things happen. And when we see new technologies that are out there that can speed that up, you know, people are going to, you know, people are going to look for the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think any of us want to just say people are malicious, right? Most people just want to do their job, go home, right? So they're going to use whatever they can to do that. But you have to think of the malicious side too. Sometimes they might just get pissed off at you, and they might use that power that they have to load tools and, to Matt's point, take data, put it on something personal and get it out of the business.
Somebody pointed out yesterday that if you take a group of 100 people, at least one of those people in that group is going to be a jerk. So if you have if you have a company with 100 people in it,
hold on, just one?
I said at least.
It's like a pretty low ratio.
I'm giving you a very low bar. So then if you have a company, you know, what's the percentage?
I think,
you know, so
I think the bar might be 52%.
If you're an employer with 100 people or 200 folks in there, you've got to assume that you've got a small percentage of people, you know, that may slip through the cracks as far as your scanning.
Well, I think there's a video going on social media that illustrates that point. It's usually a dog. It's like the person will say it's cost nothing to be nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How much does it cost to be an asshole? It's free, isn't it? I'll Venmo you. So, you know, it goes back to that point. Like,
anyway, the moral of the story is figure out the
Wi-Fi on naval ships.
Don't leave geolocation on them for other companies to see where U.S. naval ships are. Bad idea.
Give your employees what they need to do their jobs. Make sure that you have standards in your business that are only allowed. Like, these are the applications that you can use in your business. And if you don't have that, start kind of just tracking what you use every single day, each department, everything like that, and make it a standard. And then work with somebody that can help you lock it down and make sure that it has to be, there's an approval process.
There you go.
Yeah.
With that, it's time to move on and get back to work, gentlemen.
I don't want to get back to work. We said you were talking about other stuff. Just kidding. All right. Drop us a follow. Drop us something down in the chat. Like, what do you want to see us talk about? If you want us to expand on Shadow IT, if you want us to use something else, let us know.
Yeah, if you want to, and we're also now still having the Matt fan page. Specific out there, we have T-shirts.
True.
That are going to be made for the Christmas holidays.
Also, if you want to,
we also have a special store now. You can buy mugs.
Also, if you want to Venmo me, just send me, just DM me, and then I'll send you my Venmo.
No idea what's happening now.
Actually,
we're selling things off of our desk.
I was reading a book over the weekend, and there was a note in the preface from the author that said, you know, you want to start earning money now, Venmo me, and I'll send you $1, and he did.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Talk to you later, guys.